All right, Pirate fans, welcome out to another episode of the Pirates Cove Podcast. That's right, it's not Wednesday, it's Monday evening. I switched things around a little bit. We're gonna do the Pirates Cove on Monday. We're gonna switch the gridiron to Wednesday for this week. The next week we'll be back on Wednesday. But we've got a breakdown of a lot of things to talk about. Of course, we're gonna talk about our Rockport-Fulton Pirates football team. We're gonna kind of break down also the season for our JV and freshmen. We'll also be talking about our Rockport youth. Um, I was down there with Steve at Pirate Stadium Saturday. Man, I had a great time down there watching the sophomore division, the junior division, and the senior division. And so I'll let Steve kind of break that down to let you know what happened in the first round of the playoffs and which teams from Rockport will be advancing to the second round. It's a lot of fun watching these guys, man. We also did some interviews with them and put them on our Facebook page. It was great. It was great interviewing the coaches and stuff. I had a great time. And then, of course, we'll break down our volleyball game too. Our varsity girls went to the second round. Of course, we couldn't get to the third round, but it was still a great season. So we're kind of going to break down their season, their by district and area games. And then we'll also be talking about our JV and freshman seasons in volleyball. And then we'll end it with our basketball team. Basketball seasons already started for our girls. They had their first game. We'll break that game down and we'll preview the next one here coming up tomorrow. And then our boys as well start. They've already started scrimmaging, but they're going to get their first game coming up soon here on the road. So we got a lot to talk about. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce my crew. We are not in full effect as E-Man was unable to be with us tonight or this evening, but he will be back, I believe, tomorrow and Wednesday, I hope. But I do have the coach, Steve Cantus. Coach, how you doing this evening?
Hey, I'm blessed, brother. Happy to be here.
And then, of course, a little under the weather, but the big T, not feeling 100%, but he was still able to make it. And I know what that feels like because that's happened to me. Big T, how you doing this evening?
Oh man, I'm doing great, man. Ready to get it going.
Yes, sir. I understand that. And I want to thank you. I know you're under the weather, but I'm glad you were able to make it. So I'm going to go ahead and take over. T usually does this part, but he's a little under the weather. So the first thing we're going to talk about here, of course, is our Rockport-Fulton Pirates, our football team. They're in the playoffs, and we're going to get our first round of the playoffs here on the road. We're going to be playing against Hondo, and we'll talk about that later. But I wanted to talk about this past week's game. It was our last home game. It was really emotional. Both of these gentlemen here on the screen with me have their sons that play on the varsity. Big T still, his son still got one more year with us. That's good. But for the coach, this was his son's final game. So it was kind of emotional for the coach and his family. But it was a great game, man. I mean, I had a great time. We were commenting. All the people that followed us on our stream, coach, it was awesome. We had over 200 comments, over 2,000 views. We had a lot of people joining us from, of course, our hometown of Rockport, but a lot of people from Port Isabel also that had a lot of nice things to say. So I'm glad they enjoyed it. We'll continue to get better. But now we're going to break down the game. And I'm going to go to the coach first and get his thoughts on what he thought, what he saw from our offense and our defense. Of course, we do the special teams. Coach, let's go to the offense first. Give me your thoughts on the offense. We scored a lot of points, but let me know your thoughts on what you thought and how well Rockport did offensively.
Yeah. No, like you said, man, it was a super emotional game to be there at our home stadium on my son's final game at Pirate Stadium. So that was extremely awesome. Just going through all the games that I've been on the field with him and to watch him grow. All the boys, actually, I mean, everybody, all those kids, they've all been together since they were 7 years old playing together. And so it was really awesome to watch those seniors participate in that game. And they really left it all on the field, as if, they were playing their last game. I mean, you could really tell that the emotions were high. They were playing extremely well. They stayed upbeat the entire game. So it's really cool and something that I'll remember for a long time. And but getting to the game, it was a great game to watch offensively. Both teams were actually executing very well on a high level. You know what I'm saying? Both teams preparing, for the postseason. I thought that the Rockport's coaches did an extremely good job in preparing us for that next week. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Ace Seibert was extremely sharp on Friday night with his passing and really really kind of set the tone for the game and how it was going to be played. I thought he had, I'll pull up his stats here in a second, but let me just go on for a little bit. I think you kind of got a little glimpse of what this postseason may look like. A little bit more passes. And what's great about our passing game is that we're not a dink and dunk team. You know what I'm saying? We're stretching the field and we're giving teams something to consider going into the game. You know what I'm saying? Okay, hey, not only do we got to protect against the run, but this guy Cyber's having an amazing season and it's got the stats to back it up. And it's really giving these teams something to think about other than our running game and how effective it is. But getting to some of the stats, John Chupi on only 7 carries at 141 yards. He averaged 20 yards a carry. You know what I'm saying? 20 yards a carry. He had 1 touchdown, and that was good, right? That's effective, man. Effective running. You know what I'm saying? The amount of carries he got and how well he was doing. Armani Garcia was my surprise for the game. He had 9 carries for 84 yards and 1 touchdown. And I really enjoy watching that kid. Just so he's an underclassman. We know we're going to get him back next year. So it was exciting for me to watch, a bit of a stretched out, he got more plays than what he normally does. We see him from time to time come in late in the games and he's always been effective, but it was good to see him, in the game, getting into the flow of the game. I thought he did a great job in picking up where Devin left off. Devin had 7 carries for 71 yards. He averaged 10 yards a carry. So, I mean, we were really moving the ball. I mean, the offensive line was doing an extremely good job. I watched that tape and kind of slow it down, and you can really see how effective our offensive line was in helping our guys, break past that line of scrimmage. And of course, downfield, with the receivers and the backs down there, continue to block, and it was helping pave the way for our guys. But our offensive line really kind of, they really controlled the line of scrimmage, both on offense and defense, to tell you the truth. But offensively, they really controlled the line. They had Port Isabel, back on their heels, and like I said, that passing game really helped it out, where they couldn't just shove 8-9 guys in the box because they had to worry about that pass, and we were burning them. You know what I'm saying? So that was extremely awesome, man, to watch. Ace Seibert went 7 for 9 for 5 touchdowns for 242 yards. So he had an awesome game, bro. And actually, during the live stream, somebody commented that he actually broke a record. I think it was held by Seibert. So just a personal record that, and I'd like to get more into detail. I want to find out exactly what that meant. I don't know if that was Jay Seibert's old record, passing record that he threw, 28 touchdowns in a season. But that's what the comment read, and it was somebody that was related to Jay, so that made that comment. So I mean, Ace had a great game, threw for 5 touchdowns, right? I mean, that's bad, man. That is being effective. 7 for 9. You know what I'm saying? Had 2 drop passes, so he was really hitting the guys in stride. The one I can remember, the one incomplete. It was a bit behind him, but I remember talking when we were on air. I felt that Ricky should have caught it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, a little behind him, but it hit him in the hands. He should have caught it. It wasn't too bad. Didn't turn him completely around. So, and that's one of the incompletions. I can't remember where the other one came in, but he was very effective, man. Very efficient. And when he dropped back in the pass and looked so comfortable, you know what I'm saying? Sitting back there too, he has those games, man, those flashes where he sits back there and you just ooze confidence, and you sit back there like he's got a force field around him, knowing, and he just steps up and makes great throws. So, I mean, that when you give Ace Seibert that kind of time back there and a clean pocket, he's going to pick you apart. So that was a great job, going to the playoffs. Like I said, it's going to give those teams something to think about, you know what I'm saying? And not shoving so many people in the box. They're going to have to play us honestly. So great game, man, by our offense. I thought we did an excellent job along with Port Isabel. I mean, Port Isabel played their tails off, man. They really did. They were really effective in what they were doing, and they also had a great night of offense, man. But all in all, man, I had a blast on Friday night, and it was such a joy. It being the final, whatever. But more than that, man, just watching good football, good solid football, offense and defense, both sides of the field. So I really enjoyed myself.
Hey Tony, offensively, it says as Steve was saying, we were very effective on the pass. You heard him, talk about the stats and stuff, and then we were able to run. I mean, we were able to do both things. I think it was something that, Coach Seibert, I guess, is preparing these boys. It's something that I think that we did in this game. You're going to see in the playoffs. What were your thoughts on the offense, the way that you saw it versus our run and our pass? Because we were very balanced in this game. I mean, we were just scoring at will. I mean, there was so many things doing right. Everything was clicking. Our offensive line gave Ace time. Our receivers running great routes, catching the balls. Our running game was going. Just talk a little bit about what you saw in that game and how effective was Rockport's passing and running. Because if this is a sign to come in the playoffs, watch out.
Yeah, absolutely. First I wanted to give a shout out to the offensive line because Steve is absolutely right, man. Those guys were getting after it. I'm talking about when they were staying in the box, when they were pulling outside. I mean, those guys were really, really, really fighting for each other on the field, and I got to give a shout out to those offensive linemen because they did such a great job in this game. But as far as the passing and the running, it was very balanced, and if you think about it. Uh, we only attempted 9 passes. You know what I mean? You look at the 5 touchdowns and 242 yards, but we only attempted 9 passes. You know what I'm saying? And we had 34 touches on the ground. So we Rockport played the way Rockport's supposed to play. They had most of their plays were on the ground, but they used that passing in times when they needed it, times when they needed to get ahead because you know uh like Steve also mentioned, Port Isabel did a great job executing their game plan. I mean, they scored 34 points on us. So, I think they did a really good job of using those pass plays to get us more ahead, get us down the field, get us out of tough situations. But I mean, it was very, very balanced, and I think that that it is a really good glimpse of what the playoffs is going to look like. And I even saw some new plays, and you always worry about throwing new plays at the end of the season, but they executed them well. I mean, from what I could see in the stands, I don't know if there was any miscues that we don't know about, but from what it looked like in the stands, I mean, it looked like they were executing. So, just great job to the offensive line all the way around. But 5 touchdowns on the ground and 5 touchdowns in the air. I mean that's something special. You know what I mean? So hats off to the coach, hats off to the coaches, hats off to the team. Them boys that like Steve said, they played like it was their last game on their home turf. Even though it wasn't for everyone, those men fought out there for each other to really bring home this win. So it was very very impressive win against a team that we didn't really know a whole lot about. We really know a whole lot about Port Isabel. We knew that they were tough. They had a great record. Going into the season, we thought Raymondville was going to be the toughest team from the valley, but about mid-season, it started to show that Port Isabel was the one. So, it was a great game for us to have at the end of the season. It was competitive, and I think that going into the playoffs, it was a really good warm up and a really good opportunity to the coaches, and I think they took it to do some different things on with the play calling. So, hats off to everyone on the Rockport side for executing.
Yeah, guys, listen, this is what I'll say about the offense. It was a great game plan. Hats off to Gup and Seibert and all those offensive minded coaches, right? Because they had these guys prepared. It was a great game plan. You could just see it from the beginning. It was just, the running, the passing, the calls that were being made. It just kept Port Isabel unbound. They couldn't, find a way. They didn't know how to stop this Rockport offense, and we've always talked all season long. When this offense clicks like this, it's going to be a hard, the defense, whoever they're playing, is going to have a hard time stopping because of the amount of backs and stuff that we can. And Tony's talked a little bit about the, passing, but the run, we're a run team. We wanted to see more running, and Cyber gave him what he had been wishing for, which is definitely more run. We're very balanced. We're a run team first, but having that pass there and them knowing that they have to respect that pass, you put those lines, you put 8 guys up in that box, try to stop that run, and you've already seen just this past weekend, what Ace can do, and then with the weapons that he's got. Let's go over to the receiving side now, man. Ricky Franks, man, what a heck of a night. I mean, this guy was explosive, and I've been wanting to see him more on offense. I thought, in a couple of podcasts before, I said, to you guys, hey, listen, I would love to see him on offense, more, because I think he brings that threat, and then that opens up, Gibson, Ian McPherson has been involved a lot now also in this offense. He's caught a touchdown last week. He's caught one before, so he's getting in to the groove thing. So, you've got these guys now. Luke also plays some receiving. So he's got a core of guys out there that he can throw to, that the defense is going to have to respect the pass. And then, of course, you got the running with, Coach Steve, you got, because, Coach Seibert and Gup, they'll put in there, they'll put Garcia in there, they'll put Kennedy in big moments. And, of course, you've got Chupi and Devin. So Rockport's offensively is starting to click all around. He's got multiple running backs, not just one, that are a threat. And then, of course, the pass game. So Rockport's become a very dangerous team to play. It's not just a one-dimensional, hey, we just got to stop the slot T. That's not what they are now. And I think this is something you're going to continue to see in the playoffs and going into the next couple of years. So it's exciting to see that. Props to the offensive line. None of this would have been possible without these big guys up there. They don't get a lot of love. We need to show them some love, T and Coach. These guys do all the dirty work. I saw Joey up there, pushing. They were running up there just trying to get 3-4 more yards. Just Devin them get in there and his momentum man stop. And we're trying to get those yards. It was nice to see these guys up there doing that, and they controlled that game from the start and never let up. And we could basically do, you heard Coach talk about the stats, man. I mean, the averages per carries. And so it was great. Then giving Ace that time back there, he looked very comfortable and just knew exactly where he wanted to go. And he just, boom, put it in there. And then Ricky Franks did the rest. So it was just great. Guys, I'll talk a little bit about that. Right before halftime, I told Coach Steve, listen, man, maybe we should just kneel it, man. And then he throws that ball, Ricky catches. It was phenomenal. It was a phenomenal play by Ace and Ricky. It was just great to see. We were hitting on all cylinders, guys. So it was just great to see overall us get that type of a game, that type of a win offensively going into the playoffs this week against, we'll preview this against Hondo here in a minute, but offensively, man, we were on. Great game plan. I really enjoyed the game. And hopefully that can continue in week 1 of the playoffs, guys. Anything else anybody wants to add before?
No, without a doubt. Ricky Franks had, and I said it several times, the game of his life, you know what I'm saying? And I was so excited for that kid. I mean, he's such a great kid. He's a good spirit, you know what I'm saying? When you're around him, he's electric, and, he's so awesome. And I was so happy for him to have that big of a game. So he had 5 catches for 209 yards and was averaging 41.8 yards a catch with 4 touchdowns. That's being an impact. That's making an impact. He made up his mind when he come out that locker room. You know what I'm saying? He had his mindset that he was going to have an impact on the game. And A. Cyber did his part and hitting them right in the chest, catching them in stride. And that was the key, right? I mean, you got to hit these guys in stride. And that's what Ace did. And then their ability takes over from there. You know what I'm saying? But you could tell he was thirsty for the end zone, all night long, was fighting for every yard to get in the end zone. And had we not had, all the activities after the game, I know that Gabriel and I both wanted to go down on the field and interview him, but out of respect for the seniors and the families, we chose better, you know what I'm saying? Oh, you know what? We're going to let them have this time, you know what I'm saying, with their family and friends and enjoy all the festivities that happen after the game, the senior walks and all that stuff. So So he definitely, was tops on the list as far as finding kids to interview after the game, because he had an amazing game, and I'm so proud of him, so happy for the success he had, all season. And but to cap it off, you know what I'm saying, your last game to cap it off with such a huge game, man. Um, it was just awesome, and I was excited to be there. Just happy to be a part of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and hopefully that this can continue with the week one here. We'll preview it here in just a minute. Let's go to the defensive side. Tony, I'll go to you first on the defensive side. A little struggle at the beginning. They come right out of the gate first play and they take it to the house, and that's something we hadn't seen. I was shocked. I told Coach because you hadn't seen that ever. Rockport hadn't given up first play at the start of the game. A big touchdown. So we're going to get it together. Then they come back the second, their second, Fort Isabel's second possession of the game. They take it down to the house again. So at the beginning, we're just kind of trading touchdowns. So of course, we saw Coach Robbins. He wasn't very happy. Of course, he wasn't going to be happy. Talk a little bit about the defense. I mean, I'm 34 points, but I know for myself, I've kind of looked at the video a lot during the weekday when I get time. And this is still, I mean, our defense is good. And when it comes time to play, they play. We've seen that in big moments against, like I said, they show up. They just probably don't show up all the time. I'm not really concerned with the 34 points. I'm not. I think that I know these guys, maybe they just weren't hyped up. They had to wake up. Coach got onto their butts, and then they finally come through at the end. But at the beginning and throughout the game, what was your thoughts on our defense, the way they were tackling, how these guys were able to come in and score? I mean, we talk about our defense is good, but hey, let's give Port Isabel, like we have, their offense a lot of credit. They came in with a game plan, and they executed that game plan really good. Maybe something that we didn't think they were as good. I'm not sure, but we'll give the props to Port Isabel. They came in with a good game plan. They were executing. Your thoughts on the RF defense and how we started the game, how we made the adjustments. There were some adjustments that were made throughout the game that the coaches made that really helped out to stop these guys and shut them down. And then toward the end of the game. So from beginning, middle, to end, what was your thoughts on this Pirates defense?
Yeah. Well, first of all, again, hats off to Port Isabel and what they were able to accomplish. I mean, uh, they rushed for 265 yards against our defense. And if you'd have asked me in the beginning of the season if I thought that anyone, after seeing how tough the run defense that Rockport has was, that a team that they were going to come in here and rush for 200, almost 300 yards. You know what I mean? I wouldn't believe it, but they did. But that's because they were prepared. Not that we were not, but and they executed very well. I mean, Port Isabel was very sneaky with that ball. They had our guys on their toes, as far as with all the misdirection. But the boys did make adjustments, you know what I mean? Because Port Isabel wasn't doing nothing fancy, and I don't know what Coach Robbins was telling them on the sideline. But I know he wasn't happy with some of the play. But the Port Isabel didn't do anything fancy or sneaky. We just had to figure it out, and I think they did, only allowing 14 points in the second half. So you know, let's see. Peyton had 13 tackles and a quarterback hurry. Peyton led the way for the defense this game, along with next was Joe Moreno, of course, and then Aidan Rangel. Aidan Rangel, we talked about him earlier. That kid is flying everywhere. You know what I mean? He's a junior. He'll be back next year as well. He's really, really flying everywhere, no matter what side of the ball he plays on, whether he's on the left or the right. He's in a lot of plays. You know what I mean? So it's good when you have other guys to depend on besides just the two guys in the middle. And I know those two guys in the middle appreciate that as well when either they get blocked or they get away from the play, that they can have the trust from their outside guys to make those tackles. So overall, I mean, defensively, that was the first time anyone's rushed for that many yards. So uh, I think they'll figure it out. I didn't see nothing that worries me as far as how they were performing in the postseason. But but 265 yards on the ground is just super impressive by Port Isabel, and they were not to be taken lightly, and maybe that's probably a little bit of what happened. They were supposed to win this game. Rockport was supposed to win this game. It wasn't a question whether Port Isabel was going to beat them or not. It was just a question of what were they going to be able to accomplish, and they came out ready to play, and even though they lost the game, that coach over there and those players over there need to walk away with their heads high because they scored. I mean, they rushed for 265 yards on a really, really tough Rockport defense.
Absolutely, Coach. I'll go over to you now. And the adjustments that were made, you and I saw Luis Aguilar. That second half, boy, he just came in, and the adjustments, and I'll let you talk about the adjustments that you saw. But what he couldn't do in the first half, boy, second half, he came out, man, he was all over, causing, chaos in the backfield, getting to the backfield. They had a really hard time containing him. Talk a little bit about the defense, what you saw overall, but about the adjustments that were made to be able to get these guys in that backfield in the second half.
Yeah, I'll talk about the front line first, and then I'll talk about the adjustments after the second half. But Tony said it best, man. It's good when you just don't have to depend on just those two guys in the middle to make every tackle. And I know on this podcast we've asked questions to ourselves. Hey, what's going on with the front line? What's going on with the front line? They're not getting the tackles. Well, they had 18 total tackles combined, those three guys, you know what I'm saying? And that's being effective. Noah Jones had 6 tackles by himself. Luis Aguilar, of course, led the way. He had 7. And then another, let's see, Schmitty, Klob had 5 tackles himself. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, and that's up front, man. And that's dealing with double teams. You know what I'm saying? That's dealing with double teams and all that's chip in and all this other stuff that's going inside. So when you get 18 total tackles from you guys up front, you're gonna be successful. And a lot of it came in the second half. And I thought the defense adjustment that they went to, they put, Luis Aguilar started the game off in the middle. You know what I'm saying? He was playing our nose, and Caleb and Noah were splitting them. Well, then in the second half, they moved Aguilar back to the edge. Now, we all know what kind of season Lewis had last year on the edge. He's got such a quick first step. It's blinding. And there's no way that guy was prepared for that. I looked at that tape over and over, and the guy looked like he was stuck in the mud. That's how fast Luis Aguilar was moving off that edge. So when they moved Aguilar to that edge, I think he made like 3 consecutive tackles right then after coming out of halftime. 3 back-to-back tackles for losses. And that's the coaches recognizing, what I'm saying, that, hey, where the mismatch was, and not that Noah Jones or Caleb. I mean, I know Caleb Klob is fast, what I'm saying, off that edge, but Lewis is so used to taking on double teams and getting off. He's so, he's so dynamic with his hands. He's so good with his hands that gets him free. And that first step is unmatched. You know what I'm saying? He's going to blow by you. And so that for me was the biggest defensive adjustment that the coaches made coming out of halftime, was moving Aguilar to that edge. And then I really like Tony, help me out. What was the big guy's name? He came in and played nose.
Elliot?
70.
Wistine.
No. It
Elliot?
Was Elliot. It was
Okay.
a black helmet. So
Yep.
he comes in and plays nose, right? He takes the double team now. He's taking the double team, and that's what's freeing up Aguilar in the middle. And I thought on the edge, and I thought that was the most effective look that we saw all night. You know what I'm saying? With the big guy in the middle, and because that guy throws his weight around, he falls forward, and he's pushing the power. You know what I'm saying? He's pushing. And I thought Elliot played a great part in that game in doing that, because it's not all about, total tackles and what his effectiveness was taking on the double team and freeing up his compadres on the edges. And that's when you started to see those guys be effective on the edge. Noah Jones I know this probably was the highest output for him this season as far as single game tackles. I know he's had some big plays, sacks and whatnot throughout the game. But I think as far as total tackles goes, this might be his biggest output. And that's a big part of it, because they moved Elliott to the middle, and he was taking on the double team and sliding too. It's what I like. He wasn't just going straight. He take the double team off and take somebody with them. You know what I'm saying? So it was awesome to watch. I really enjoyed myself watching the tape. That's where I slowed it down and I looked at that defensive front to find out what was going on. And that's what I saw. I saw Elliott demanding a double team, because you got to double team that big guy. You know what I'm saying? You look at him, you're like, holy cow, we better put some bodies on him. You know what I'm saying? And that really paid off for the coaches. Aguilar, of course, did the work, you know what I'm saying, along with Noah, you know what I'm saying, getting to the ball carrier. They were all just so active. That's what I enjoyed watching. They were all so active. Everybody wanted to go be a part of the ball, the tackle. Everybody was hustling up and down the line. I saw Noah Jones in pursuit of a guy that was breaking away, and he's 30 yards down the field and he's sprinting. You know what I'm saying? He's sprinting to try to get into the tackle. That's hustling. That's 11 man to the ball mentality, and everybody is hustling to the ball. And to talk a little bit about the secondary had a great game too, as far as tackles go, right? Because we've said on the podcast, okay, hey, what's the deal with the safeties? You know what I'm saying? Why don't you play them back? You play them in the box, and they're really not helping out on the run. Well, this week they did. They all had 4 and 5 tackles apiece. You know what I'm saying? That's being effective, bro. That's a total team effort, and that's everybody hustling to the ball. And that's what I saw, you know what I'm saying, in the second half, especially after they made the adjustment, they kind of shut it down. Because you're right, Tony, they weren't doing anything special. It wasn't really fancy that those guys were doing. They were just executing them well. All their plays were crisp. Everybody was in the spots they were supposed to be in. Everybody was moving. They were going second level and picking up the linebackers. Everybody was doing their job offensively for the Tarpons. So the Cowboys, again, I want to call them the Cowboys, man. The Pirates just had a great, second half, and it was everybody to the ball, and that's what it's going to take, man. That's what it's going to take to be successful in the deeper runs that we go on. You know what I'm saying? Is everybody got to get involved. Everybody's got to make their tackles. I didn't see a ton of broken tackles there in the second half. That first half, those guys were just running away from us. To be honest, it was almost like we were one slide away, like one hole away from everything. Like we were either shifted to the left when it was going, and like just one step behind every time that they ran the offensive play in the first quarter. It looked like they were all just one step behind. And I actually heard the coach say something about, studying play. So there must have been something that the coaches saw that they explained to the boys. This is where you got to be, and this is the call, and this is the position you need to be. And they weren't, right? They were a step behind, or maybe guessing wrong. And as well as I do, you know what I'm saying? If you take that one false step the opposite way, that turns into 3 yards going the other way. That 1 yard for you going that way equals 3 yards for me going this way. So, you know what I'm saying? Luckily, the boys cleaned all that up. Coaches got them in the right position, and the boys started making plays, and it was great to see.
Yeah, it was. I like I said, I'm not worried about the defense. You talked a little bit about the safeties. Yeah, and there was I remember a play just offhand where there was a 2-point conversion. They were running down the side. Caden Kennedy takes off from his side, man, and he just hits that guy out of bounds. That hustle. And this is not for us, but it's for 2-point conversions. But they started hustling, or they were hustling to begin with, right? And he gets out there, and I'm watching him. And then I watched it on video, and he's running down there, man, and he catches that guy. And if he doesn't catch him from that angle, I mean, they get the 2-point conversion, and Caden's able to get there before he reaches the end zone, and boy, he just lays him out to the outside. So there was a lot of hustling going on. And like I said before, I think when we get into the playoffs, guys, there's always a game plan. The coaches always have a game plan, offensively and defensively. For us fans, like you said, we expect that defense to shut everybody down every single game. We play West Tulsa. They're not that good. They're not as good as our defense. Port Isabel, not as good as our defense. King. But these guys are they're not going to shut everybody down, especially when we get into the playoffs. Teams are going to score on our defense. We still got a great defense. but it's the adjustments now that we're seeing all season long. And we made some good ones, but we've adjusted and made the changes that we need to make to either stop a team that's scoring on us or to slow down. So that's exactly what we're going to continue to do. But I've always said on this podcast, for me, we're going to go as far as our defense takes us. This is a good defense, running, and they may score some points, but I don't see somebody just blowing by this defense. That D line and those linebackers and safeties are just too good. So it was great to see us. It was sad to see the 30-some points because we don't expect that from this defense, but we were able to make adjustments and shut them down. Then, of course, we already talked about our offense. They did great. So it was just great offensively and defensively. Get the big win over Port Isabel as we go into the playoffs. Guys, let's talk a little bit about special teams. I'll just go to each one of you guys. Whoever wants to go first. Anything you want to add? Anything you saw? Our kickoff returns, our kickoff team. We thought that Port Isabel was going to kick a lot more, onside kicks than what I saw. But our field goal kicker, anything you guys want to add that you saw, that you liked, or maybe you got concerns about when it comes to the special teams?
I was actually surprised that Port Isabel didn't try onside kicks. I mean, they squibbed it. I don't know if that was an attempt for an onside. I'm not really sure, but I never really saw an attempted onside, because I do know that was a difference maker in that game versus West Oso last week. So I really expected them, especially when it was a little bit closer in the first half, to try to take some onside kick chances, but they never did. The other thing, we talked about this about 2 weeks ago. I really like the move of bringing John and Devin up to the middle for those squibs, or those high floaters, so that we give our boys a chance to get a good return in. I really like that move. But now kickoff, this is one of the areas where I think we maybe struggled a little bit. We did give up a lot of yards on the return on the kickoff side, defensively, and I'm not really sure what the cause there was. Um, but that was a little bit concerning to me, and I don't know, and I don't know if I've noticed that, or if it's been like that in any other game, but I did notice in this game. Of course, we started way back twice, so it maybe look like a bigger return than it actually was. But yeah, I think we need to get down there, and we need to make tackle on first contact, and I think that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing guys bouncing off some of our guys running down full speed. They got to be able to get down there, break down, and make a good clean tackle. Because we're giving them too short of a field, and that was to their advantage. So as far as punts, I think punt is still solid. Field goals are solid. I know he missed one
Yeah, you missed
PAT,
one.
but we got backed up on that one. But he has leg. He has plenty of leg, so that's not concerning. He's not gonna make all of them, and they don't make them all in college. They don't make them all in the NFL. But he's got a lot of leg, and I think you could put, if you had to put the game in his hands, I think he's got the leg to do it. So uh, I think that's all I saw. Did I miss anything, Steve? What do you got?
No, you're right. He went 7 for 8. He missed that one, and they did. It was off of we had lost some yards on penalties. There was one instance before where similar to that. You had, I think, like a couple of penalties back to back, maybe a tackle for loss and then a penalty. It might have been it, but there was a shot. There was a chance at one point that I thought they were going to let him kick one, and it was going to be like a 37-yard field goal. And they decided to go for it on fourth down instead of letting him kick it. But I would have loved to see him let him kick it right there. And that would have came after he missed that one. So that would have I mean, not that he lost any confidence in missing that kick. He makes that kick. I mean, 9 out of 10 times. 10 out of 10 times he makes that field goal kick, even after backing up 5 yards. I think that's all it was, or 10 yards. And he missed that one, but I would have loved to see him kick that 37-yarder, man. That would have been cool. Although I take what we got out of it anyway, so it's all good. We ended up scoring a touchdown afterwards anyway, I think. But it would have been cool to see him kick that field goal. But yeah, no, you're right, Tony. I mean, that's something that we talked about all year, right? It was they had early struggles. They were doing it. It was pretty. You could see it. You know what I'm saying? Early in the season, the first couple of games, And then we talked about it on the podcast, and it seemed like they cleaned it up there in the middle. And and for the rest of the season, and now's not the time, right? Now's not the time to be like a day's going any part of the game. You know what I'm saying? They got to go balls out, and they got to get to these guys at the ball, and they got to wrap up, and they got to make these tackles. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all field position after that. You know what I'm saying? Every yard that you give up is going positive for the offense as far as field position. So they got to do a better job in getting down there and just kind of lock it in. I don't know. I mean, it's tough to pinpoint, why or what's going wrong, or they getting out of their lanes and they're not being disciplined. I think when it comes down to it's just wrapping up, like you say, man, wrapping up and hanging on, you know what I'm saying, and making those tackles. I mean, it's tough, right? You're flying down the field and you got to stop on a dime. This guy's momentum may, because he's stopping and starting, on the return, he may give you a little hesitation move, head and shoulder moves, and you throw your body at him and your arms catch him and your momentum's taking you opposite way, right? You're taking you away from him, and then they're able to spin out of that and continue running. But yeah, man, they definitely need to get to the ball, man. Get to the ball, make these tackles, and I'll save us some field position, save us some heartache, save that defense, what I'm saying, from being backed up so deep, So I'm sure they'll get it cleaned up. I'm hoping that they return to midseason form and really nail this part of the game down. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, in a big game, you don't want that to come back and cost you. You know what I'm saying? If they're running a 2-minute offense, if they're trying to come back with less than a minute or something like that, it's that initial kickoff that's going to set up that drive. So if you're setting them up on at midfield, then you're doing half their job for them. You know what I'm saying? So we definitely got to get it down. I did see what's the name. He did boot it deep this time, more than usual, right? Usually he does a little squib kicks or a little high pop-up kicks. He was kicking it deep. A lot of times he was catching them out of position. You know what I'm saying? The guys were anticipating that pop-up kick, and he was sailing that ball deep. So I don't know. Maybe it's a communication thing. Maybe the guys themselves are thinking he's going to do a little pop-up kick and are kind of anticipating that. And then he kicks it deep, and it gives those other guys more momentum because they picked up speed. And they're going in the opposite direction. So anyway, either way, man, you're right. We definitely got to tighten it up. We can't have that, cost us a game, when it comes to field position late. So we'll see what it do.
And one of the things that that the reason I brought it up is I mean, think about how many times we kicked the ball off. I mean, we scored 10 touchdowns. You know what I mean?
We kick off big time.
If we kick off 10 times a game, and we're giving up, 10, 20, 30 yards a return, that's a lot of yards given up on a return. So, I mean, it's like you said, and that was a great comment that you made. Every repetition on the field needs to be a flawless execution. Special teams is not just, oh, offense scored, let's go out there and kick it off. Like it's important. Every rep on the field is important, and not that they take that lightly, but I mean that one defensive play needs to be, needs to equal a whole defensive series on for the defense. It's equal. You know what I'm saying? Where the field position is super important, especially when you're playing tough teams. Tougher teams. You know what I mean? I just think that, kicking the ball off, I mean, really on an average, probably 6 to 10 times a game, because they've scored 60 points plenty of times this year. So, just they really need to go out. Those guys on that kickoff need to go out there and understand how important it is to pin them deep. You know what I'm saying? So.
Hey guys, before we go on to preview the first round of the playoffs for the Pirates, the Rockport-Fulton Pirates, anything you want to add on penalties? We had quite a few penalties in this game. You guys got anything you want to add as far as penalties go? Or you want to keep it down? Because just remember, we don't get fined here for talking about that, so we can say basically what we think happened. We're not going to get fined by anybody.
Yeah.
Well, I still want to see the stat that says our penalty yards versus opposing teams because I feel like we've had a lot of penalties, a lot more than every team that we played. And from what I'm seeing on the stands, and I'm not saying it from a fan's perspective, what I see in the stands, it seems like really bad judgment sometimes. I mean, sometimes it's there's some bits of pass interferences that were intentional, to stop touchdowns. But some of these other calls, these hits out of bounds, they're very close, and they call them on us, and it seems like when our guys are getting hit out of bounds, they don't call it, and I can remember one real flagrant one that I think should have been called. Actually, I thought they did call it, but then they called holding. I remember David Shitterref was running outside and got hit on the freaking almost to the track. And I was like, oh yeah, they got it. And then holding on Rockport. I said, what? I couldn't
Mhm.
even believe what was going on. So yeah, for what the guys can control because not just in football, but in life, you can only control what you can control. Uh, you know, uh, the holding and the false starts. We've had a few of those. Not very few of those. The offsides. We saw a lot of that. In the last couple of weeks. Jumping off sides on as far as being on the defense, but we need to control what we can't control because just like I talked about special teams, every repetition on the field where we create a penalty is yards, positive yards, whether we're going backwards, uh, or the opposing team is gaining yards. Every time we get a penalty, we're giving them yards. So whatever we can control, we need to control it. You got to hold your water on the defense and really really just try to play, more flawlessly on that perspective. And then I want to talk about the penalty. I don't know if you want to call it the big penalty, but the penalty last year with Devin. Do any of y'all know the rule? Because from what I remember, if you get ejected from a game, you can't go back until the game until the same quarter next week. Is that the way it is right now? Do you know about that, Steve? Do you know about that rule?
That's the way I understand it. That so he missed the entire second half of this game, and will have to miss the entire first half of this next one, and be able to come in the third quarter
Because you're
of
disqualified for a whole game, right? From what
right.
I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah. If I believe so, that's the way it works.
Okay. Yeah, so it's gonna be tough, not having Devin for the first half, if that is in fact the way it goes.
Mhm.
Because and that's one of the things I forgot to bring up on offense. We talked about his seven touches for was 79 yards or whatever it was and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was only in one half. You know what I mean? That was
Yeah,
just a one half. So, uh, imagine if he had a whole nother half to play. I mean, he'd have had over 120, 140 yards on the ground
yeah,
had he played the second half. So, it's gonna be tough, not having them defensively, not having them on kickoff returns, and not having them on the offense. So,
yeah,
they're gonna have to make some major adjustments, to fill in a big key player like Devin.
yeah. Hey, and to touch on the penalties, I don't want to come off as a whining guy or crybaby or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But you're absolutely right, man. I really do feel that a lot of times we're not getting those same calls. I watched early in that game when Devin was playing in the first half, and it might have been one of Devin's first carries. He caught this little dump pass to the right, and he ran down the right side, and they spiked him about 8 yards out of bounds, bro. They had him at the waist, and then ran him out of bounds, and then came over the top with him and suplexed him. And he was like 8 yards out of bounds at that point, nearly to the track. You know what I'm saying? Almost to that gutter that's down there. And no flag was called on that one either, just like the David play. And who knows? We're not in Devin's head. That could have been one that he was upset about. You know what I'm saying? Got up and probably was upset about something like that, because it was clearly out of bounds, and it was so late, and there's nothing there. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to see some of these calls either call it both ways, or keep your handkerchief in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? If you're not going to call it both ways, then you should keep your handkerchief in your pocket. Now, I also at that same token, I don't think plays like that. I know at some point late in the games, you know what I'm saying, we've all seen penalties that may have caused uh, a game not to go the way that we wanted to go, right? That last second play, last pass interference play, and you see the flag. But we all know that those one plays at the end of the game or whatever, they don't cause you to win or lose. It's everything else you do in between, right? So, but when there's a lot of in between that we're not getting called for, you know what I'm saying? We're not getting the benefit of the call or the same call, then it just makes for an upset, irate fan in the stand, and a parent, upset that, we're not getting the same call. So, like I said, I mean, I normally don't say that out loud to the public, complaining about refereeing or calls or this or that, but it does seem that way. It does seem that way at times to be a bit one-sided, and we're not getting the same calls. We're not getting the benefit of the doubt. And then, I mean, as a kid, dude, this guy's, 17 years old, you know what I'm saying? 16 years old. And when you have, the games going like that, where where you feel you're not getting the same calls, or maybe the kid's doing the same thing to you, and you're the only one getting the flag, it gets frustrating, man. And that had to have been the case. And I mean, honestly, to tell you the truth, like, I didn't see the first personal foul that he got, but I thought it was Joe that came in late on a pile-up. It was actually I don't know who it was that flew over the top, and then it kind of pointed the finger, and I was like, what the hell was that? You know what I'm saying? The guy flew over the pile. He was late, but he dove over the pile. But that one play in the end zone, dude, I mean, I watched as much as the tape allows you to watch, because you know how that huddle goes. You don't get the full run out of the entire play. But the only thing that I saw on that tape after Ricky pulled down the touchdown was Devin might have sidestepped the guy and touched him on his way to pick up Ricky. Might have touched him on the thigh pad or something, on the hip pad or something like that, on his way to pick up Ricky. But I didn't see anything else. Now, my sideline reporter said that he pointed at him, but I didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? That he pointed at him, and that's where the taunting call came in and whatnot. But I mean, at that point, it's being a little ticky tacky. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't like the whole celebration things when you're high step into the end zone, or have the ball hanging out or something like that. But something that's as innocent as, being happy for your teammate, you got to let those kids do that at times. I don't know, or be just, you know what I'm saying, understand what the situation is. You know what I'm saying? If it was something flagrant, then whatever, so be it. That, if he didn't deserve to be on the field, then that's fine. But something to be watching him that tight after a questionable personal call in the first place, it just kind of leaves a sour taste in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to take anything, especially last regular season game going into the playoffs, and you know how big of an effect it's going to have to the kids' team going forward, to penalize them that way, and to know that you're going to have your call that didn't only affect that play or that moment, but also going to go into the following week, and it could have repercussions. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we don't know, what the outcome may be. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, it sucks, man. I really wish that it was, just cooler heads would have prevailed on all parts, our part too, you know what I'm saying? Devin too, you know what I'm saying? Just cooler heads, but man, I mean, sometimes, 17-year-old kid is going to do what a 17-year-old kid does, and cheering or being excited is part of it, but whatever.
And Steve, and here's the thing too. He doesn't have a reputation all season of doing stuff like this. If you have a player that has this kind of reputation and continues to get personal fouls, that get to the end of the game and you're like, hey man, he's already done a lot, then refs are gonna look at you. Hey, this is a behavior. This is something that we got to watch out for, because it continues. He doesn't have that reputation. So I kind of agree too with you, Steve. It's hard, because a decision like that affects not only this game, but it affects part of the next game to a team. So the call was made. We got to live with it, right? But
Hopefully we're all wrong, and it's just that game. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm hoping, that we're wrong, and then he's already served his penalty and sitting out that game. But I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's just wishful thinking.
yeah, well, we'll just see what happens. But again, you have to make sure that um, you know to me, it always seems one-sided. You know what I'm saying? It always seems to me like we get multiple penalties pretty much every game or every other game, and it's just I see other things that happen as a fan, sitting in the stands watching, and I see certain things, and I'm looking for the flag, and it didn't happen. And I think we kind of look. Rockport plays a very physical game. We do.
We do.
We go all out, and we pop kids, and they go full speed. And we've seen injuries, and we've had people on this podcast say, "Man, Rockport's a very physical team." And so I hope they're not getting looked at just because of their physicality, because Rockport's not dirty at all. And we know our coaches here don't. They'll be the first ones to jump on these guys and make a dirty play, right? If that's to occur. But they are physical. We've been physical for the last couple of years. And so, I just hate to see stuff like that happen. But to me, as a fan, it seems like we're always getting, I'm like with Tony, we're getting penalized a lot more than the other teams. It just appears that way, but it could be that way too, because, I'm a Rockport fan, but man, it seems like we get a chop block here and there, or we get something all the time.
We get a chop block at every game. I don't think there's been a game we haven't had a chop block called against us.
So, I mean, it is what it is. We got to overcome them, but it just seems that way from where I stand. But we got to continue to play the game. I just kind of want to get your thoughts on the penalties. We had quite a few of them in this game. Now, let's jump over to this week coming up. We've got a Thursday game. It's not a Friday game. It's a Thursday game. So it's an early week for our guys to get prepared for our first playoff game. We're going to be playing Hondo, the Hondo Owls. I think Rockport's the second seed. If I'm not mistaken, Hondo is the third seed in their district. They're 15. We're 16. We're going to be playing in Vernia on Thursday night. It's something that's a little bit different. We'll be traveling up there. It's about a 2.5-hour drive from Rockport. We've done the Vernia drive before when we played them when we were a couple of years ago when we had them in our district. So let's kind of break this game down a little bit. I don't know much about Hondo, but I'll go to you first, Coach Steve. What do you know about Hondo, if anything, and what do you anticipate is going to happen in round one as the Pirates meet up against the Hondo Owls?
Well, I don't want to go as far as to say, we're going to go blow them out. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go up there, we're going to blow them out, and they don't deserve to be on the same field, yada, yada, yada. But, the numbers speak for themselves, man. The wins that they got this season, they're over Comfort. They beat Comfort 41-21. They beat Pearsall 56-13. They beat Crystal City 20-14, and they beat Bandera 20-10. Now, these four teams are combined 3-16. So they're beating up on, the wins that they do have are against teams that aren't so good. There's two of them that didn't have any wins this season. Both Comfort and Pearsall were 0-4 and 0-5. Crystal City had one win, and Bandera had two. So they're 3-2 in district. You know what I'm saying? They did what they had to do. They made the playoffs. Their last game against Carrizo Springs, they got touched up pretty good. Now we both know that Carrizo Springs is a pretty good team, and they did what they had to do. They beat them 69-30. Hondo gave up 676 yards total, 384 passing, and 292 rushing against Carrizo Springs. So they're coming off a tough loss. And of course, like you said, Carrizo Springs is a great team. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing to, can't hang your hat off of getting beat by a great team like Carrizo Springs. But that to me, that just kind of tells the tale. You know what I'm saying? They kind of beat up on the weaker teams of the division, and were able to get into the playoffs that way. But beating the 3-2, getting your 3 wins, being at 3-16, you know what I'm saying? That tells me that we should be able to go over there. We should be the projected winner of this game. You know what I'm saying? On paper, Rockport should go to Vernia and come back with a win on paper. Now, we all know that sometimes it don't work out that way. A lot of times these guys really, it's going to be their first playoff game too. And they're going to be excited. They're going to come out charged up and they're going to try to do what they can to put up a great fight. And we got to, man, this weekend, and I'm going to tie in a little bit of the NFL. If anything that I got from this weekend is that anything can happen, right? We just watched the Cowboys play the worst game I've ever seen played on NFL. I think they should have cut that game off and went to another game at some point. That's how bad they played. Now we all know that's not them. That's not the norm. And they play a whole lot great, better than that. And that's always the worry, right? That a better team, Rockport's clearly better on paper, go down there and things kind of snowball. One bad thing turns into another bad thing, and then before you know it, you're down at half, and then you're trying to claw back, and you're trying to do so much that you continue to make more mistakes and more mistakes. You know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. So we all know that. After this weekend's football, I do, and I tell you what, that was the only game. The Rockport Pirate game and the Dallas Cowboy game was the only 2 games that I watched this weekend. It ruined football for me, that Sunday game. I turned it off TV and I haven't turned it back on since, bro. No more football for me after that Cowboy game. So, but like I said, we all know that possibility is out there. So it's going to be super important that the boys go down there and get down there early, right? Leave early. I don't mind if I got to go take Joey lunch at 11 o'clock and then they leave at 11 o'clock. Get down to the field early. Get acclimated to the time, get your legs back underneath you. We all know that 2 hour, 20-minute drives, going to suck some juice out of you. So I hope that Jay, leaves as early as they can, get down there early and, get acclimated and get rejuvenated and come out and play the game that paper says that we should play. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I know about there was one other thing that I found out about Hondo. They are a super duper young team, super young. They have 15 total seniors that play on the team, and not all of them start, right? A lot of these guys are on the bench as well. They have 13 freshmen, 13 juniors, and the rest are sophomores. So a very, very young team. And what comes with young comes inexperience. So, you know what I'm saying? I think that this year, you know what I'm saying? They got a super young team with only having 15 returning freshmen. And like I said, I think only 8 of them play. The other ones are on the bench. They're role players. But with 13 freshmen. So that number jumped out at me. That how young they are. Like we've seen young teams, right? We all know Gregory Portland's young and this and that, but not this young. This is super young. This is like having to move up freshman and JV so that you could have a varsity type of young. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what's going on down there, but they are a super young team. So I'm hoping that we go down there and do what we need to do to come back with this win.
Tony, I'll go to you next. You heard Steve, they're young. Anything can happen. I anticipate that Rockport's going to get the win. I know that I've been around and watched a lot of football. But the way Rockport's been playing consistently, it'd be a shock to me if we don't get this win. Your thoughts on the game. I'd ask you this, Tony and Steve, before Tony answers. Are we taking a charter bus? Do you know? Because you guys have your sons that play for the team, or are they going? Do you know anything like? Have you heard anything like that?
I don't know, but I'm sure they are. The last couple of times that they made that trip or made a trip that far, they used the charter bus. So I'm hoping that the coaches got that lined up going out this far. I don't know it for a fact yet, but I'm hoping that's the case.
Yeah, that'll help. I know it helps out with those. I mean, riding that bus down there, it's not very comfortable. T, I'd ask you your thoughts. I know we're all going to the game. Hondo's coming in, but I want to see Tony. I want to see Rockport. Prepare. We're all thinking they're going to win. Like Steve said, they're the better team on paper. But I want to see a great performance preparing for that second round. Should we get the win like I anticipate we will. Your thoughts on Rockport and Hondo this Thursday?
Well, one of the things that I will say about Hondo is they bring a crowd, and that helps out a lot. You know what I mean? Especially if their crowd is bigger than our crowd. I remember Rockport played them in San Antonio about 2 or 3 years ago, and Rockport ended up winning that game. But man, they had a crowd there. I mean, their side of the stands were full. So, for being a young team, like Steve said, I didn't know that till he said that. I think that kind of uh builds confidence or whatever on a younger guy to say, hey, we're gonna go beat this team, because my theory is if you believe you could win, you could. You know what I mean? And if they believe that, anything could happen. Huh. So, I think Rockport, and if you were to ask the coach, hey, are y'all ready for Cuero? He would say, hey, we're getting ready for Hondo first. I'm pretty sure he would say something like that. But like you said, Gabriel, I don't suspect that Rockport will lose this game. What I do expect is to kind of take it like Port Isabel offensively, perfect those plays, because like I said, there were some new plays. Perfect those plays. This is the time. This is the time. This is the game where you clean up all the stuff that we talked about all season long. You clean that up. Penalties, uh, uh, kickoff return. I mean, kickoff defense. Uh, what else? Uh, tackling on first contact, wrapping up and tackling on first contact. This is a game where when you're going to face a team like Cuero in the second round, this is the game where you got to clean that stuff up. Because if you don't, you give that team, that really good Cuero team, more confidence and come into that game in week 2 of the playoffs. So Rockport needs to go out there and they need to have a big win. They cannot scrape by versus Hondo. You know what I mean? Steve said it right. The 3 wins that they got are against teams that have won 3 games combined. There's no reason why this game should be close. Not saying that it cannot, because anything can happen. Like Steve said, reference the Cowboy game. Anything can happen. But this is definitely not the game where they need to let off the gas. This is the game where they need to clean everything up and have flawless execution and strike fear into their opponents for the week 2 of the playoffs, because this starts now. Cuero's looking at, I know you ask a coach, what do you think about your ranking? They probably say, oh, I don't think about the ranking. I guarantee you those kids in Cuero are liking that number 8 ranking, and they got a lot of confidence right now, especially when Rockport's not ranked in the top 20. I know they have a lot of confidence, but if they can get through this first round, putting a whipping on Hondo, they start to second guess how confident they are. So Rockport really needs to take this opportunity to really clean everything up.
I think it's execute for me in this game against Hondo. Coming in here, getting the basics and making sure you're doing everything you can, and then crisping, getting everything ready to pass, to run, on your blocking. It's important. It carry over to the next game, right? So you can't come out here and it's going to be an easy one, and we're going to take the night off. We're not going to play as hard. You got to see that hustle every play, execute. Special teams, field goals, punting. We've all broke all that down now, so I'm not going to repeat the same thing over. But this is the game because a Rockport, as you said, Tony, we're not right, but we're a very dangerous team. Any team that plays this, whether we're ranked or not, I'm telling you, I've watched Rockport all season. This is a dangerous team, not because I'm a Rockport fan, but I watch these guys. They've got threats everywhere in the pass and in the run. So you got to come. The other team, Rockport, has to come and play tough, but you got to come with your A game too. You take a night off, Rockport's going to get the win. So I anticipate this game for me and Rockport going up against Hondo is I want to see these guys come out with the intensity that they did against Sinton. and come on out offensively and defensively, and let that game carry on over into the second round. So you never know what can happen, but my anticipation is that the Pirates will come out victorious, and then we'll prepare another week as we get into that second round. And we've talked about, the teams in this region. There's a lot of good teams. Smithville had a good season this year. We know Navarro's been there before. They're very experienced. Carroll's been in there. Their experience. Rockport's experience. Wimberley, Sinton. But then you got these other teams too, like Navasota. We saw what they did last year at Rockport. So even though they're not having the greatest of seasons, these teams are all really good and can upset anybody if we don't play the game. So we've got to come out there. It's going to be a good battle in this region. And I'll tell you this, whoever is the last person representing this region, they earned it. Whoever is that last person in Region 4 that's standing there representing Region 4, that team earned the right to be there because they had to go through some really tough competition and good teams to get there. So it's going to be great, guys.
Hey, real quick, also, in case anybody's wondering, Hondo is more of a running team. They're more of a running team. This last game against Carrizo Springs, they had 273 total yards. 57 of them are passing and 216. So they did a good job getting 216 rushing against Carrizo Springs. So they are a running team per se. Not to say that they won't throw the ball, knowing that we're coming to town, because everybody knows that, if you want to score points against Rockport, you got to have some pass. So I look for them to throw a little bit more passing into their offense, but their bread and butter is to run.
Absolutely, man. And so once again, Rockport-Fulton Pirates playing the Hondo Owls. This will be on a Thursday night game. I don't think we played a Thursday night game this year at all. We don't play a lot of those Thursdays, so it'll be a little different. But it'll be in Vernia, so we'll make that trip down there. I'm looking forward to it. Thursday, short week for us, so we got to prepare to get out there. So it's going to be a lot of fun, guys, in round one. I'd like to now go to our junior varsity football team and our freshmen. I'll start with the junior varsity. I'd like to kind of break down their season. I know Steve and I went to a couple of games. I'm not sure if Tony ever caught any of them this year, but I know Steve and I did catch some of them. They had a really good season, guys. I think they ended up with the record of 6-3-1. And Steve and I had talked a lot about how good, some of the losses that they had, tough teams, Cal Allen, last minute, so they were in just about all of these games. Got some really good players on this team. Some of these guys, of course, will be moved up in the playoffs. We'll be seeing them in the playoffs as they travel with the varsity for the playoff. For the playoffs, but the season that they had, Coach, I'll go to you first because I know you were at some of these games. Talk about the season of the junior varsity. I know we didn't see a lot of them, but we did see some. Talk about some of the players that you can remember that maybe showed interest and what you're looking for some of these players that, eventually maybe next year will be on varsity, and how exciting is it going to be for some of these guys? Who made an impact on you in that junior varsity team?
Well, without a doubt, and I'm working on getting the list of the kids that got moved up for the playoffs, got moved up to varsity. I'm working on getting that to me right now, so I could let you guys know who all got. I mean, from a coach's point of view, who all got that recognition or caught the coach's eyes in order to get moved up. But as far as for me, Aidan Moreno was very impactful. He did a great job for the JV. At quarterback. Unfortunately, here last week, he broke his finger at practice. I think he came down to practice with the varsity last week and suffered a broken finger. So he got called up, but like I said, he's going to be, I think I read where his mom's going to actually that same day is due to have some type of operation done or some type of procedure done to his hand to correct his finger. So, but I mean, it doesn't take away from the great season that kid had, both at quarterback and linebacker. I think just like his brother, he's impactful on both sides of the field and affects both sides of the field. Real cerebral kid, doesn't not not a whole lot of words. You know what I'm saying? I think since I've known him, I can't remember. Me and him talking together and him sharing more than 10 words with me. You know what I'm saying? So not very talkative kid, but super dynamic on the football field. Very cerebral when he's on the field, and I'm looking forward to next year when he gets dialed up and or not even dialed up, when he makes that varsity team next year, and see where he's going to plug in. You know what I'm saying? See what role, see if he could fill those shoes of his brother. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they won't even have to wash the number 24 jersey. Just take it off of Joe and put it on the Aidan, and then we'll see where it goes. But I'm looking forward to that, along with some of the other guys that I watch make super big impacts in that JV. I think Garcia is going to make an impact. He's really going to have to work this off season. I think he probably needs to put on a little bit more muscle, you know what I'm saying, a little bit more weight. And then of course, Mother Nature's going to take care of the rest, and he's going to shoot up a little bit more. I'm hoping this off season. But as far as he has all the athletic ability. That's what he's oozing at. You know what I'm saying? He's got tons of athletic ability, and I look for him to make a huge impact on that receiving core, filling some of those shoes as well. You know what I'm saying? We all know I kind of do it like the Friday Night Lights thing, and have the little clips and say, all right, this guy's gone. Let's plug in this guy. Let's look at this guy. I feel like the coaches are going to do that, and are going to have to do that to replace some of these guys. That I'm sure they had the eyes and the JV all year. Blake Garcia is the kid that I'm talking about. I was trying to remember his name. It took me that long to remember his first name. I look for him to be an impact, and along with the guys in the backfield. We all know that the Vela kid and the Hondo kid are really good down there. They're going to come to a backfield that's they're going to have a lot of great players. I think Armani Garcia is going to be great for us next year. You had David Chatterack coming back. He's going to be great. And then of course, the Clydesdale in the stable is going to be Devin. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be back there. But I mean, you can never have too many backs, man. You can never have, and then who knows what other roles that these guys do. So I mean, we saw him play running back this year, Vela and Coach Esiliando's son. But who knows? You know what I'm saying? Maybe work them out in receiver or tight ends and see what they do. I think that the biggest thing for me is going to be, is where I'm going to be interested is watching, where this line's going to go next year. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we got some great kids that are there that are going to be their senior year. But where are these role players going to come in from the JV? You know what I'm saying? Or the freshmen? You know what I'm saying? If they get any looks there, there's some big boys down there at the freshman ranks, too, that they might get some looks next year. Got some super big size. So I'm looking forward to it, man, to the off season. I want to see these guys work out in the gym and really, do their due diligence and putting on the weight, because this is where it starts, man. This is it. You know what I'm saying? Now that you're, you went through the JV ranks and now you're ready for varsity. They're going to have to realize that this off season is going to be the most important off season of their high school careers. Making the transition from freshman or JV over to varsity, that off season is your most important. I remember telling Joey that how important that off season was going to be for him when he was coming out of his sophomore year. And you gotta make those sacrifices and get in the weight room and bulk up and whatever information that the coaches put out for you, you got to study up and really work on your craft. You know what I'm saying? So super important year for them. Those who made that list, I guess I'm not going to get that thing back in time, but those who made that list that get that called up, soak in everything that you can, boys. Get as much experience from these older guys that they'll allow you to get from them. You know what I'm saying? But really sit back and soak it all in and really take this off season serious and put in the work, because we're going to need you. We're going to need you.
Tony, anything you want to add? Any players? I know you know a lot of these guys through youth and stuff. Anybody that you feel that just caught your eye? Maybe somebody didn't know that caught your eye this year. And let's talk about some of these guys that you do know and what kind of impact they're going to have next year on varsity.
Yeah, I think he said Aidan Moreno, and I had the privilege of uh being an assistant on one of his baseball teams, and that kid, he plays with a lot of confidence. He plays with a lot of emotion. And I don't have I don't have any doubt that he'll be able to step into that middle linebacker role. And I say that middle linebacker role is because you got Ace is a sophomore, Aiden's a sophomore. He's probably not going to play quarterback when he goes to
Yeah.
varsity, but I believe that he has a really good chance of making an impact at the middle linebacker spot. As he gets into his junior and senior year, I really feel that way. But one of the players that I didn't know about, and I did go to the Aransas Pass game, one of their first games this year, and I did watch the games that were streamed. Is Coach Vela's boy. Oh,
Hmm.
and the scrimmages. I was like, man, who is that kid? I guess I never really paid attention, but he runs the ball really well.
Hmm.
He uses his pulling lineman really well. Stays behind him till he finds a cut, and he's very elusive. So I really really look forward to seeing what that kid does. He got some speed. He got breakaway speed, and he got some sharp cuts. You know what I mean? I think he will be a complement to the backfield. Um, you got Ryder Winstein,
Hmm.
who also plays. I think he plays outside linebacker or middle
Yeah.
linebacker. Either way, he's a beast on the defense, but he also runs hard in the middle. You know what I mean? He runs hard between the tackles on offense. So I see him making an impact coming up. Uh, uh, you know, uh, maybe this year, if not varsity next year. I do see him making an impact. But I don't know a lot of the offensive linemen's names. But they do have a pretty good sized offensive line on the freshman and the JV.
Yeah.
It's and like Steve said, it's super important. The last game of the season doesn't mean you got to break until next season. That means you got to work hard
Yeah.
until next season. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you got to change the way you think. You got to change the way you think. Okay, now I'm gonna take it easy, and now I don't got to wake up and go to practice. Nah, this is where you work hard. When we talked to Coach Troutman, and he talked about those Sinton players in their offseason, how much work they put in, and look at how good Sinton is every year. You know what I mean? Those guys, they work out hard on the off season, and not just in the summer. The summer's not the off season. The off season is the day after the
Day
last
after.
game.
Day after last
That that
game.
that's off. That's when off season starts. It doesn't start on the last day of school. You know what I mean? You got to change the way you think, because the only way to be great, not good, is to push yourself harder than everyone else. You know what I mean? And the coach could push you so far, but you got to push yourself the rest of the way. You know what I mean? So very, very important. And I say this, just so that you can understand how important it is, because we got a winning tradition here in Rockport, and we want to keep that. And we got a lot of guys. This is probably the first time in 2 years, 2 or 3 years, where this many seniors are graduating.
Hmm.
So there's going to be a lot of hosts to fill. There's going to be a lot of hosts to fill, and I'd rather I think it puts Jay in a better place when he has too many good guys to choose from versus slim pickings, because no
Yeah.
one no one no one pushed themselves. You know what I mean? So but just from what I see, I think there's a lot of great potential and talent in both the junior, the JV, and the freshman level. So I don't think he'll have that problem. But Steve, you said it right. The off season is the time. This off season right here is the time to really really start to push yourself harder than you ever have.
Yeah. Joey also, um, the Ivy kid. Joey had told me about the Ivy kid at practice. Right. Joey doesn't know him, but he said his name. So yeah, I know who you're talking about. So he's Joey's liking what he's bringing to the table too. He's pretty quick and mobile and aggressive. You know what I'm saying? He has those attributes. He may be one of those kids, I guess, that got moved up too. I mean, if Joey's talking about him, then he must be, at some of those practices. So that's another kid, what I'm saying, keep an eye out for, what I'm saying. Uh, he gets a little stronger. He's going to be tough because he is quick.
He does.
Yeah,
He plays with aggression as well. I saw
Mhm.
him in the Randers Pass game, and he plays
Mhm.
with a lot of aggression on the D line.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's on the defensive line. I heard a lot about him. I don't know very much, and I apologize for not having his name in front of us. I think he's number 60 on the D line for the JV, but I've heard a lot of good things about this kid. A lot of guys that have
Yeah.
coached him
He
when
goes
he was
both
younger.
ways too. He's one of those kids
Yeah,
that go
yeah,
both ways.
he did.
I heard him screaming for that kid all the time. Hey, Ivy, get over here. So he goes both ways. So we'll
Yes.
see where he puts that work in, and that'll determine what side of the ball he's going to be on. I think he could probably plug in easier on defense. You know what I'm saying? With his aggressiveness, but uh, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Because I mean, what do we got? We got Logan, right? And Hoyt, right? On the offensive line, as far as offensive line goes, you know what I'm saying? Mhm.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about the Ivy kid. I mean, there's a lot of good guys on that JV. A lot of you guys brought up their names already. I mean, it's just full of talent that Coach Cyber's going to have to pick from. And you're right. As long as they continue to work out this off season and do the things they need to do, and they'll be ready to go next year. We'll jump over to the freshman side now. And they ended their record at 7-3. These guys were very impressive to me. They lost the three losses. One came to St. Joseph at the beginning of the season. The first game, they took a loss. They ended up playing them at the very end of the regular season and got a huge win over St. Joseph. But the other two losses, they came to the hands of the Sydney Pirates.
And
So
Pirates.
they're going to be that's going to be a battle if we continue to stay, excuse me, in this district. We do the realignments. But let's talk a little bit about the freshmen. 7-3, great record. There's a lot of talent on this team. Steve, I'll go back to you first. You and I saw a lot of these guys on Thursday evenings. Man, talk a little bit about these guys and who's impressed you.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, easily with my eyes closed, their quarterback is going to be a good one down the line. You know what I'm saying? Of course, having Ace being so young, you know what I'm saying? We know it's going to be a couple of years in the making, but Hal is a great quarterback. And I think he's going to blossom into an awesome quarterback if he continues on his path. And that entire team, man, you got Mr. Peyton Taylor. You know what I'm saying? He's a dynamic running back. Really surprised me, man. And I can't, and it pains me to say that he surprised me so much. It's just, I remember the kid, man, in youth football. I remember him playing, and wow, man, he has really blossomed into a very dynamic running back with great vision, got great field vision. You know what I'm saying? And kind of runs with them high knees a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And he's very elusive, man. Real slippery type of guy. He's going to be a great guy going forward. Great back for us going forward. And then on the defensive line, they got I said the kids are I say his names all the time. Broder, really Austin Broder, really big size guy. I mean, I don't know. I mean, his dad's nowhere near this kid's height. I don't know where he's getting it from. And he's huge kid, man. I'm sure he's over 200 pounds, probably about 215, but or maybe more. I don't even know. But really tall. It might be about 6'2", 6'3" right now. Huge guy. And a whole lot more to go, right? That's what's scary about this kid, is that he's got so much more. He's so young, and room to grow, and then he's got a huge frame already. So I'm sure that kid's gonna blossom into something else, man. He's gonna be a terror on the football field for many years to come, along with several other guys on that team. I mean, I'm really excited about those kids moving forward to see where they end up. You know what I'm saying? If any of them get any looks, I'm be curious this year to see if they get any looks at varsity for next year. They definitely put in enough work this year to get noticed, and that is no doubt. You know what I'm saying, that they put in the work to get noticed. But let's see where what the season. I mean, what the off season brings. For them is super important too. Because they're going to be the underclassmen and trying to trying to, do battle with these guys that are going to be juniors next year and seniors next year. So there's an uphill battle for those guys, but their offseason is just as important. They're gonna have to, put into work this offseason if they want to get any looks going forward. But wherever they land, you know what I'm saying? If they land on JV next year, that JV team is going to be super good, man. That's JV team is going to be super good. If that's what happens, but hopefully, they continue to work hard and get the big call up. So we'll see how it goes.
Hey, Tony, before I go to you, there was these guys to me were very impressive. It was 7-3 record, and Steve talked a little bit about Hal, which I think Hal, from what I understand and what I see, not only is he a good football player, right? And knows he's a great athlete. I'm really, and I would really like to see this kid play baseball. He's a very, very good baseball player. He's a really good athlete. Of course, you talked a bit about the defense. I'll let you go next. Who's caught your eye? You know a lot of these guys. I think a lot of these guys, Tony, will go to varsity. Usually, Coach Seibert does look at a few guys from their freshman to sophomore. Usually, you see a couple of guys at the sophomore level on varsity. How much playing time will they get? I'm not sure, but usually there are some sophomores on that varsity. What's your take on some of these guys? Who's impressed you? What kind of names can you throw out there that you think, hey, I think these guys potentially are going to be on that varsity team? Or maybe some of them got moved up to the playoffs. You never know.
Yeah. Again, I apologize because I don't know any of the offensive linemen's name, but uh, the big boys, they got some big boys. I went to a lot of practices this year, and when I see them take water breaks and they get closer to me, I'm like, man, them guys are big. So definitely have enough linemen, I believe, for the next few years. Um, But yeah, you said it best with Sean. Again, you got Ace for 2 more years, and I don't know if Sean ever gets that chance to play quarterback. But man, I see him warm up with Ace on the sideline, throwing that ball 50 yards for warming up, and on the money. So definitely got a cannon. I don't. I think that if you don't use him for quarterback, I think he serves as a big guy out there to go out there and leap for some balls. He's got some hands. You know what I'm saying? Putting him at receiver. And he's a big kid too. He's like 6'2", something like that. So sorry about that. Anyways, but Dawson Phillips as well.
Oh yeah.
I don't know the list of who's getting moved up either, but he is someone that I can see that will be making an impact in the next couple of years at the running back level. And maybe even at corner. I know he plays the same positions his brother plays. You know what I mean? He plays with a lot of heart too. So we'll see there. That Peyton Taylor kid, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but him as well. I really was impressed with him at the scrimmages. I didn't know who he was. I didn't coach him or coach against him at the youth level, so I wasn't sure about that kid. But man, I was really impressed by him as well. Um, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. Hmm. I don't know a lot of the kids' names, man, but just I just can keep going back to the offensive line, how big they were. But we'll see. The future does look bright for Rockport football for at least the next 4 years from what I'm seeing. So just looking forward to seeing what they do in the off season to try to earn a spot. Because as a freshman, you got to tell yourself, I can get that spot versus, oh, I won't get that spot. I'm only going to be a sophomore. I remember when Angelo played Gabriel. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but those linemen were starters since they were sophomores, correct? And they stayed with each other.
Yeah, they had Panda, Angelo, Adam Lamb. I think it was Dryer. I can't remember his first name. Yeah, yeah. Seibert had pretty much
Meath
a sophomore.
didn't Evan Meath play with him?
Yeah, he got up there his junior year.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
he was part of that thing. But there was, I think, out of those linemen, there were four sophomores on that starting lineup. There were sophomores, yeah. And Tony,
They
I'll
got
tell you what
playoff
happened.
experience as sophomore, so
Yeah, they did. They went in there and played 4 years. And I tell you what, Angelo, he was a freshman going to sophomore. He said, I'm gonna make." Of course, he said, "I'm gonna make varsity." My sophomore year. And of course, yeah, absolutely. But I said, son, if you don't, because I didn't really know who was coming back from that team, and we watched. And I said, but if you don't, don't get disappointed. Keep working hard. And he said to me, I'm gonna make varsity my sophomore year. And I thought, yeah, absolutely. We didn't really know if he was going to make that or not. But this kid was in that weight room, I think, a lot. I mean, we never had to push him. And sure enough, when it came out, man, he was a starting guy. So hard work does pay off, guys. And the thing is that coaches see that in that weight room, getting up there
Yeah,
early,
you
hitting
got to
that
be in the
weight
weight
room,
room.
Seibert and Coach Elizondo and Coach Gup and Robbins, they all see all this stuff, man. And they love that stuff. And you're committed and you put in the work, and these coaches they'll put you in a position to succeed. So it's great. One guy that you talked about, Dawson Phillips, and it's kind of funny because Steve and I, when we're doing the broadcast, we always call him Devin's little brother. Somebody, I can't remember, I'd have to go back, but somebody goes in there and puts a comment and says, Devin, Dawson's brother, and Steve and I kind of made a joke about that. Hey, that's right, man. Finally, somebody's saying, hey, Devin is Dawson's brother, not the other way around. But this kid plays. Their knowledge of football is impressive to me. They're both not very big in stature, but man, they play. They understand the game of football. You can just see both of them. You can see Dawson playing at a freshman level and understands. And I think the ceiling for this kid and how better he's going to get, because I'm sure he's going to be working off in the offseason. I anticipate these guys are going to get better. But where he's going to go from now to his senior year, it's going to be very impressive in whatever position he plays. Because this kid, he loves football. It's going to be very impressive to see him. We talked about how the potential that he has. I think this kid's just an athlete. Wherever you put him, he's going to succeed. But another kid that we didn't talk about, because we talked about Taylor, and I was impressed with him too, is Armani's little brother Garcia. He plays on that
Yeah.
freshman team. This kid was just as impressive as his brother. The combination they have between Howe, Taylor, and Garcia, man, it's going to be exciting to see when these guys get up there. So Coach Seibert and Gup, they've got a bunch of with the JV that we talked about as far as our running backs with Bella and all those guys. There's a bunch of guys coming in. You still got Kennedy coming back with Devin. It's good to have all these backs with the receivers too that we got. So it's going to look good. I agree with Tony. The where we're going to be at next 4 years is going to be really, really good. So both of them had winning records. I would just say the offensive line as well. They look really big, and defensively we look good. We're in a good position with good athletes for the next few years. So it's exciting to see what we're going to finish off with this year and the playoffs, and then what's coming up with our JV and our freshmen. 6-3-1 for the junior varsity, 7-3. Very impressive for our guys. So, guys, now we'll turn it over now to Steve, and I want to talk a little bit about our youth. I'll just say this before Steve gets started. I watched a couple of games. We were able to get out there and watch. I was sitting up there with Steve most of the day on Saturday. Very impressive. I didn't get to see the freshmen, but boy, I saw those sophomores play. I'll talk about that after Steve, our juniors division, and definitely our seniors. Steve, I was really happy we got down there. I think the kids really liked the fact that we were able to get some interviews with some of those boys. We were able to talk to the coaches from our seniors and juniors. Couldn't get them from the freshmen and the sophomores, but very impressive. I was very impressed with what I saw. I'll turn it over to you so you can kind of talk about the playoffs that we had here at Pirate Stadium this past weekend and what's coming up in that second round and who's going to be representing the Rockport-Fulton Pirates.
Yeah. So our freshmen and our sophomore, they both fell short of the in the first round. Our freshmen took the loss. They lost 33-0 to a tough Kyle Island team. They're really tough and really big, man. I looked at that team across the field like, wow, man, these guys are huge compared to our guys. Our guys were pretty young. which going to make for a great season next year. They had the majority of the team was 5 years old, and max age is 6 there. So we even had some 4-year-olds sprinkled in there. So we were really young. We were really just happy to put together a team that could go out there and compete. And heck, man, they went out there and they won 2 games this year. So they finished the season 2-5. Got a couple of wins in there, which is exciting. And like I said, they're building. We're young team. So next year we'll have a majority of 6-year-olds. And that's always the best part, right? I mean, in youth football, you always have that. You got one season where you're going to take your bumps and bruises, and then that following year, when you're at that max stage, you start to dish it out. So, great season nonetheless by the freshmen. Good job by the coaches. Ronald Leyva is the head coach of the freshmen. Assistants are Jerry Cotton and Jason Wright. Gosh, let me see who else was down there. Alex Elise is an assistant coach on there. His son's a quarterback. And gosh, there's one more, man. I don't want to miss him. Oh gosh, I can't remember. Anyway, they had a great season, man. And that's the toughest age for me. That freshman group is always the toughest age. You're their introduction to football. At that point, they've maybe if you're lucky, played some flag football. So that's always the toughest one. And hats off for those coaches for stepping up and helping those boys to a successful season. 2-5 isn't a great record, but I'm sure they got lots of great memories, and they did a great job introducing the sport to those young boys, and to get a chance to make the playoffs with that age group that they had, a mixture of 5 and 6-year-olds along with some 4-year-olds. They did a great job. 33-0, they took the loss, but they took it on the chin. Those guys played all the way through, and that's what counts, man. And you when you're able to look back behind you and you got 15 kids still on the roster, or you might have dropped 1 or 2 throughout the course of the season, but when you at the end of the season you look behind you and you have more than just your 11 starters on the field, you got some 14, 15 kids back there, then that's a successful season. That means you didn't you held their interest for a full 8 weeks, 10 weeks with the playoffs. So you're doing something, what I'm saying? So great job done by those boys. The sophomores also, they made the playoffs. They took a tough loss. They lost a 6-7 game against a number 1 seed for their age group in the sophomore division. They faced gosh, I can't remember the team that they played, but they're a number 1 seed. Was it Orange Grove? Yeah, they played Orange Grove. And it was a number 1 seed, and they got touched up by this same team early in the season. They lost 19-0, and were able to really battle it out with this team for 4 quarters. And honestly, it was the last drive that got them in. They had possession of the ball, and they had some key injuries to their backfield and their quarterback. So at one point, they had their entire starting running back core along with their quarterback at the bench at the same time. And this was the final drive to try to win the game. They had possession of the ball. So, it's a tough way to finish your last game, as far as the coaches go. But, when I went down there and I seen those guys, the kids were still smiling, what I'm saying? And they had a good time, and the coaches did too. So, it was all in all, it was a great season. I know the head coach of that group is Greg Monero. He's got an assistant coach, Jason Garcia. Oh gosh, who else is down there? Jimmy. Can't remember Jimmy's last name, but his boys are Woodruffs. They did a great job, man. They were kind of throwing in it.
Is it Medina in there?
Yeah, Enrique Medina is also a coach. They're kind of throwing in their last minute. The coaching staff, the sophomores, I know that I mean, not late or anything like that, but Greg was a first-year coach, along with most of those guys are all first-year coaches. Kike Medina's had some assistant coach. He's been there for a little while, but it was a great job by those boys, man. They did a great job fighting hard, and they also had a great season. They had a few wins mixed in there. I think they won 3 games this season. So that's a successful season, man. And like I said, anytime you leave the field, with as many players as you came in with, and it's a successful season, man. The junior boys was a great, super exciting game to watch. Those boys really held tough to a higher seed as well. All of Rockport's teams came in, for the exception of the seniors. No, the juniors too. The juniors were number 3 seed, and they're playing a number 2 seed, and the seniors were the same. But they held off a really tough team. It was a really tough team that they were playing against, one that they had struggled with early in the season as well. And we watched that game. They were went down a quarterback. Their starting quarterback went down with injury the week before and is going to be out for the remainder of playoffs. They don't expect him to be back. So they had 1 week to prepare a kid for the playoffs. And they did. Little Zavala is his last name. They did a great job. The coaching staff did a great job in preparing him to run the offense. But what was super impressive was how clean this team looked offensively, in and out. You know what I'm saying? They ran a hurry up offense. They went to this wristband thing, and they would call the plays. All the kids would look down at the wristband, and they were quickly to the line of scrimmage and running plays. And it looked so fluent. And I was super impressed by the kids and the way they executed a great game plan put together by the coaches. Head coach over there is Alex Solis. Marcus Dominguez, the assistant coach. Jason Grubert, Mingo Gonzalez, and Kevin Stroud. So we all did interviews with those guys. They were great interviews. They did a great job. That entire team did an awesome job. So they advanced to the second round of the playoffs. They play next week against the Hornets, Flower Bluff Hornets. The game's going to be in Mathis next week, so they'll be playing again. And then the seniors had a huge win against their opponent. They beat GP. They beat them pretty good in another well-executed game. They were throwing the ball. They threw the ball. They ran the ball. They did all kinds of things. So they look like they're really sharpening their tools. Their next opponent is going to be Sinton, which is going to be a tough game. Also going to be played in Mathis. So Sinton's the number 1 seed. And they put a hurting on us early in the season, put to the Senior Pirates here at home. So Rockport Pirates will be looking to avenge that game. And it promises to be a very great game, super exciting game. So the president of the league, Coach Ronald Leyva, is on that staff. The head coach is Juan Alvarado. The defensive coach is George Bull Solis. They got Jeremy Benitez. And boom. Oh man, I'm gonna miss one. I can't think. Anyway, they did a great job, man. And I hope continued success for those boys. We're gonna see if we can make it out there on Saturday. I'm not too sure. Maybe these are older boys, so they play later. I probably definitely couldn't make it coming back from that. No, we don't play on Friday, we play on Thursday. So I ain't got no excuses. So we'll see what it do. Hopefully we can make it down. I had lots of fun calling the games this weekend and the interviews, man. I'm sure the boys enjoyed the interviews. I haven't kept up with the views, but I know earlier they were sharing it all over the place. So I'm hoping that they liked it and enjoyed it. They really played well and deserve all the accolades, man. All the shine that they got, it's well deserved. So RFYFL, man, they're putting in the work and they're doing a great job. I know that they, as a board, they've had 3 successful home games with no complaints from Region 4 or Jay Seibert, which is big, right? You got to keep Jay Seibert happy. And as long as you're doing that and you're putting on a successful season, so things are looking good for RFYFL, man, for the future of the Rockport Pirates program. Things are looking super well.
Yeah, look, it was great. Hopefully we'll be out there on Saturday. It just depends on the time that they play. Hopefully I can get out there. We had a great time interviewing them. The kids really liked the interview. The coaches liked it. We were up there commentating the game, so it was great. One thing, Tony, that really impressed me was the juniors tempo. I think, Steve, it was the juniors, right? They had the tempo.
Yeah, it was the juniors.
Yeah, these guys, man. I found out that the quarterback that had really went to quarter. It was his first. I mean, this is the first time they had tried him out as quarterback all week. But the coaches did a really good job. If you'd have seen them, they had wristbands, but it was a quick tempo early on, and it was effective. And they were just, I mean, you got these guys, they're still very young to be able to run it that way and be successful at it. Was like, wow. And then this, I don't know his first name, Zabala, was very impressive to me at quarterback. I mean, just he was running, and every time they needed a big play, 10 plus yards, 7 yards, 8 yards. Man, this guy getting it, going down, and he was getting the first downs from keeping the drive alive. It was just great to see for a kid that's first time playing quarterback. But to me, the biggest thing for those juniors was the tempo. I was really impressed with the way the coaches, because it takes a lot of work to get these guys, all these guys, more at the same time, look at the wristbands, let's get up there, call the play. So I thought they did really good. They were very effective. They played a great game. This week will be a little bit tougher, but that was impressive to me. Then when I interviewed the guys, man, it was just a great bunch of kids. And it's nice to see that they're going to be coming up next year and paying out there for Coach Hossel. We've had Coach Hossel on, we know, and we've heard Coach Hossel talk about, what his expectation is going in. And so these guys, he's going to have a great group of kids coming in seventh grade. I think Hossel gets them when they're eighth grade, but he's around them in the seventh grade. These guys are, no, they're not. Steve, the juniors, they still got one more year, right? They're
they're all fifth graders
they're
going to sixth grade.
Fifth graders. So in about 2 years, he'll have them. And then, of course, the seniors will be the guys that'll be there next year, and which is another great team. I saw them. It's going to be a great game. Hopefully, I can be out there between Rockport and Sinton. I know we've been preparing for this, and I've seen that Sinton team play. Coach T, they're pretty good. They got some studs on that other side, so it's going to be really good. It's going to be a great game between Rockport and Sinton, but it was great to go out and see them, and hopefully we can continue to see, be out there with them in Mathis. Long drive, but this is what we do all the time, right? We talk football, we talk sports, so I like to take the drive out there if I'm available. We'll jump over to the our volleyball team. I'd like to talk a little bit about them. Of course, our varsity, they ended up, I think, with the record, season-ending record with 29-8, which I think is great. I think it's what I saw on the app. I don't know if that was included. I think the playoff game was included as well. I'm sorry, 29.
Ciego.
I got it right here. I might as well see it, right? I got it right here. If I'm correct, it was 29-8. So I don't know if that's correct, but that's what was on the app. I don't know if the playoff games were added to that, but it was somewhere around. There was a great season. There were co-champs, district champs. It was great. We saw a couple of the games. They had a great season. A lot of talent on there, and they get into the playoffs. First round, of course, they played in Tidehaven, and these girls swept Sweeney 3-0. Of course, then we went over. Steve and I and Johnny went to George West, and we saw them. Didn't play out the way we had hoped, and the way the coaches and the girls had, as we took the loss 3-0. That first set, Steve, was really good, man. I mean, we had it. We were up a couple of points. I think it was 23-19, 23-18, something like that. We just some misfortunes. We couldn't get it quite done. They were able to catch up, and then we lost that first set. And then the second one, they got a big lead. It was hard for us to overcome. And then, of course, they take the third one. So it was disappointing. I saw the girls get a lot of emotion. Of course, you put a lot of work into it. But guys, I got to tell you this. Congratulations to Mark Jeffries. I think he did an awesome job. We had him a couple of times on the podcast. I'm very impressed with Coach Jeffrey. We had the girls on, a couple of the girls. A lot of girls, we invited. They didn't really feel comfortable. Sometimes they don't want to come on, but some of the girls that did come on was really, they talked a lot about Coach Jeffries and what he meant to them and how he helped them. And then, of course, his assistants are second to none. Coach Robbins, coach the JV. I don't know what their final record, but we've had Coach Jeffries come on. She wins a lot more than she loses. I know there were something like 3 or 4 losses, I think, this season. Most of those losses came for the junior varsity girls was in tournaments. We had Coach Robbins talk about that. And then, of course, our freshmen, we have Coach Clark. She was our varsity coach here. To have her down at that level, they started out, I think, with 2 losses in the season. They went I don't know. I think they ended up, but I can't really tell you because I didn't count the win streak, but I don't think they lost again. So it's very impressive. Both assistants, Coach Clark and Robbins, did really great with the junior varsity and the freshman volleyball. Of course, we've had Coach Reyes too. We know what the girls won district in the 8th grade. So volleyball is going to be good here in Rockport for the foreseeable future. But it was a little sad. The girls put a lot of work in there, not to be able to get to where they wanted to, exited in the second round, but it doesn't take away from the season they had and the talent that they had. I mean, we saw, I think it was Lauren Moore, and Angie, I think her name's Angie Skinner. Of course, Kaylee Howe, dominating in that middle. We had Peyton in the back. These are seniors, I think, that I'm talking about. I think Michaela Molina is also a senior. We've had her on. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be definitely a loss of Coach Steve and Tony. Some of these girls that are going to be graduating, we're going to feel the effects of them not being here next year. Peyton Martinez, we talked about. I still want to know how many digs she ended up with this season, and Kaylee how many kills she had, because we knew at the beginning of the middle of the season or something, they told us how many they have. So I'm going to try to find that out. But these girls were dominant. It's going to be a great loss for these seniors that we lose. But hey, what's coming back? That's still going to be there on varsity with this JV coming up. We're going to be good for a long time to come. So just wanted to congratulate Coach Jeffries and his assistants, all of the varsity players. Much success. It was great. We're still learning volleyball. We're going to be a lot better next year. Obviously, we're going to continue to follow our girls, but I like the future of where we're going with volleyball, what we got coming up on our underclassmen, our junior high, middle school. And once again, just a great season from the girls, and wish them nothing but the best as they continue to move forward. I don't know if any of them are going to go to college to play volleyball or what the situation is, but they gave us great memories this year, man. I said, last year, second round playoffs, this year, second round of playoffs. So I continue to work hard so that we can get past that second into that third round. But future looks bright, guys, for volleyball. We'll go down now and we'll end it with basketball. Basketball season has started. Of course, we've had both coaches. We've had Coach Morgan Hill talk about the girls. The girls are ranked number 19 to start off the season. That's impressive. Coach Morgan, of course, Coach Morgan Hill says, it's nice to have it, but they don't hang their hat on that ranking. As in her words, as quick as you get it, it can be taken away from you, and that's absolutely true. The girls had their first game this past Friday. They played at Corpus Christi Carroll. They do get the win 39-29, I think is correct. So they're going to have their second game tomorrow, actually, here at home against Corpus Christi Kings. So these girls are looking to have a great season. They're ranked. They've got just, I think, 9 players coming back from a third-round playoff team that were district champs last year. Expectation is high for our girls again this year. So it's going to be very impressive. I know Steve and I are going to cover as many of their games as we can. So I'm really excited about that. Then we also had Coach Bates, Damian Bates. He's our boys head coach. He talked about some of the players that are coming back. They're still kind of fairly young, 2 seniors on the team, a lot of young guys. He talked about 2 guys. I think that, Steve, do you remember if he said they were sophomores last year going to juniors, or were they sophomores?
No, they're sophomores this year.
They're sophomores this year. Reigning threes, man. So I'm excited to see these 2 guys. Of course, he also talked about
Nessaloni and Blankenship. I think he said the names.
Well, Nessaloni's the guard with Chance Bates. These guys, I can't remember their names. I think they were sophomores, but we're looking forward to seeing them play. Of course, he also talked about Roman Cox, a freshman. It's going to be coming up on varsity. Going to be coming off the bench, but he's expecting big minutes from him. Coach Bates said that, by the time this kid becomes a junior, he's going to be special for the Rockport-Fulton Pirates. So definitely looking forward. Of course, Ace will be coming back. They'll have some of these guys, football players coming in, but, Coach is looking. And I told Coach Steve about, I got to tell you, I was really impressed with Coach Bates. I mean, his interview was great, Coach. I really enjoyed it. And look, young or not, Tony, Coach Bates is looking to win the district title, man. I mean, he's looking to get up there. He's going to have these boys ready to go. I love basketball, I love football, I love baseball. But to me, when I was a kid, basketball came easy to me. So their first game, they've already started scrimmaging. I don't know how well they did I'll have to send Coach Bates an email to see how well they did. But I know their first game will be on the road at Victoria, and this will be on November 16th. So we're going to keep an eye on both of them. We've got enough equipment now. We're still building, but we do have enough equipment to be able to live stream both the boys and the girls. So Steve and I are still talking about how we're going to do this, Tony. When the boys play here, we'll stay here. Some of us will go out of town, whatever we can. But we want to get both games live streamed, the out of town, the girls and the boys, wherever they may play. So it's going to be great. I think we're going to have a great basketball season. We've started out great. I mean, our volleyball girls win district, co-district champs, and they go to the playoffs. Our boys, we didn't win district, but our record with one loss in the regular season for football, and they're getting in the playoffs. That's the way you want to start it off. And now we go into basketball, and of course, the expectation is that both the boys and the girls will make the playoffs. And then we go on to powerlifting, soccer, softball, and so forth and so on. So it's been great, guys. I look forward to basketball. I know we're heading into Thursday's game. We're looking forward to that. Steve and I know we're all going to go. I think the Z-Man's going to go as well. So I'll see you guys out there. We are trying to stream the football game. I know that Jamie McAllister is working hard on trying to get that taken care of, see if we can somehow be able to stream the game. GT Sports is ready to go. If we can get something going and work something out, we're definitely going to be at the game. I would love nothing more than to stream it. So we'll keep in touch. I'll stay in touch with Jamie. He's supposed to contact me tomorrow. If we can work something out, we'll let you guys know on the Pirates Cove where if we'll be able to stream that and at what time we'll go live. So it's going to be great. Hopefully we can. If we can't get it a live stream, we're definitely going to keep updates, but we're going to try to get it there for the fans that can't travel and those that are too far to travel or out of state that are Pirate fans. So I'm really excited about that, guys. Thank you for the podcast. It lasted a little longer, but we were able to cover a lot of things that I wanted to cover. Wednesday, we're going to have the Gridiron 64. We've got a guest tomorrow, Tuesday, on the Pirates Code. We've got defensive line coach, I believe is true, Harold Busak. He's our D-line coach. I'm excited about bringing him on tomorrow at 7:30 to talk to him about the D-line. We just broke down the D-line today about how well the adjustments that have been made for this Port Isabel game and the way Noah Jones is playing and Aguilar. So it's great. We're gonna have him up there. We're gonna talk defense and D-line with Coach Harold Busak. He's scheduled to be here tomorrow at 7:30 on the Pirates Cove, and then tune in on the Gridiron tomorrow at 8:15. We'll have head athletic director, head football coach Hunter Hamrick. We've had him on before at the beginning of the season. He'll be back to talk playoffs. He'll talk a little bit about the regular season, the Mustangs regular season, and then of course he'll talk about his playoff game. I don't know if they play Thursday or Friday, but he'll talk about their matchup with Divine. So it's going to be really good. Harold Busak will be here, Rockport's coach on the Pirates Code tomorrow at 7:30. Then at 8:15, we'll switch over to Gridiron 64 with athletic director, head football coach Hunter Hamrick. So it should be good, guys. And then, of course, on Wednesday, we will be back on the Gridiron, and we will have our playoff list on the GI 64. I'm excited about that. We'll break down the week's schedule, of course, and then we'll preview the playoffs. So I can tell you this, Tony and Steve, we're going to have more than 9 games on the playoff. I'll send you guys a list when I get it. You guys can get back to me if you approve it, or if it's too much, we'll take some of them out. But I'm looking to try to get more games on to talk about and break down. So, guys, thank you very much for your time. I'll go to Steve first. Anything you want to add, Coach, before we call it a night? I'll see you guys tomorrow.
No, I don't have anything to add, man. Great job. Hey, thanks. Hey, Tony, we appreciate it, man. Toughing it out for us, bro. I know you're under the weather, man. So I hope you feel better.
Thanks.
And T, anything you want to add?
No, I was looking at Facebook earlier. If you are planning on making the trip to the game, the tickets are online only. So you got to purchase your ticket online if you plan on making a trip to La Vernia to watch this Hondo Rockport game. Just want to remind everybody about that.
10-4, man. That what Steve said, man. Thank you for toughing it out. I've had to do it myself. It's not very good when you just want to get the heck off. Thank you for coming on, T. I hope you feel better, guys. This video will be streamed. It'll be up in the morning by the time I go to work. So I take off about 5 to work, so it'll be up. So when you guys wake up, it should be on. Hopefully, I don't fall asleep. But if I do, definitely in the afternoon I'll get it on. But I'm gonna try to get it on before I get to work, guys. So thank you very much. Have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow, 7:30, Pirates Cove. Rockport coach D-line Harold Busack will be here to join us. So I'll see you guys tomorrow evening at 7:30.
All right. Good night,
Night,
man.
fellas.